welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus a little bit of insight into what it all means. Joining us, as always, is AMC Movie News Editor-in-Chief, John Campea.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on planet Earth, coming to you from right here at the AMC Movie News headquarters here in Burbank, California. And today, we're all going to be assuming the roles of True Detective Season 2 characters, so we're all just going to be glum and dark and depressed.
Perfect. Also, here's AMC Movie News Production Manager, Dennis Zen.
I'm mad that John Schnepp isn't here because he was supposed to be here so I could rub it in his face that a deadly adoption is real and it was glorious.
It was glorious. Yeah, Schnepp, as many of you guys know, Death of Superman Lives, what happened is now getting ready to come out. And Schnepp, last second some things came up and he had to do a few things to get his Blu-ray and stuff like that ready, or his DVD and whatever he's getting, whatever the hell he's doing. He said he just needed a few times. So he said, just take the day, man, go do your thing. So that's why he's not here today.
All right, first topic. Looks like Jurassic World will reign as box office champs for another week as the movie earned another $102 million in its second weekend. Given its current pace, the film will cross $1 billion globally faster than any other movie before. Despite coming in second place, Disney's Inside Out actually overperformed this weekend, coming in at $91 million, which made it the second largest Pixar opening of all time, next to Toy Story 3, which made $110.3 million in 2010. The Melissa McCarthy comedy Spy took third place with $10.5 million in its third week, while Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson San Andreas landed in fourth place with $8.2 million. Rounding out the top five was the Sundance hit Dope, which grabbed $6 million in its opening weekend. John, what stands out to you about this weekend's box office?
Well, I mean, a couple things. Let's start with Jurassic Park. I was both right and wrong about it. See, because Jurassic Park was not, in my opinion, not as good as like Avengers, the original Avengers. I thought, okay, it ended up with the biggest by a hair. It ended up with the biggest opening weekend of all time. But it's not going to have the repeat viewing of, say, the first Avengers. Therefore, I do not believe it's going to be as big as Avengers' second week, even though its first week was bigger. I don't think it'll have as big of a second week as Avengers, and I can't see it making $100 million. Well, I was barely right about it not being as big as Avengers second weekend. The Avengers second weekend was 103 point something. So I was right about that, but I was dead wrong about it being under 100 million. It was just by a bit over 100 million. So it's got legs, man. It's got legs. The other thing, though, and this is the thing that I think a lot of people have been missing in this weekend's box office talk that I see online, is that Inside Out did way better than I thought it would. Because even though it is my favorite movie of the year so far, I did not think the marketing was great. But to be fair to Disney, if you've seen the movie, you know this is a hard movie to market. Like how do you put a trailer together for this? I thought they did. I was not impressed with their trailers until I saw the full movie. Then I'm like, yeah, they probably did as good of a job as you could have done with this movie. But here's the interesting thing. Inside Out is now the largest opening weekend in film history for an original film. No film that wasn't either based on a comic book or a sequel or reboot has ever opened as big as Inside Out. It is the #1 all-time opening weekend box office champion for an original film. And I think because of the huge impact that Jurassic World is having, I think a lot of us are overlooking that. But very impressive for Pixar. Like I said, to me, it is the best film of the year so far. So, I mean, and that movie that set the record for opening weekend box office for original film came in second place. That's a good weekend at the box office. So anyway, Dennis, you saw these numbers. What stands out to you about this weekend?
Well, obviously, Jurassic World continues to surprise. If you say you saw it coming, you're a liar.
Liar, liar.
Liar, liar, pants on fire. No one saw that, so it continues to impress. The Inside Out is getting kind of overlooked because it came in #2. But yeah, it made out so much money. I thought it was going to make 65 to 70. That was
I think I topped out at 65. I really did. I think I topped my estimate in my head for it was 65.
And yeah, but it did very, very well. I was surprised that it appealed so much to kids as well, because when I saw it, I would say it was half adults, half kids in there. The adults were laughing way more than the kids because there's a lot of complex issues and ideas that are brought up in this movie that to me, I don't think all the kids can get all of what they're talking about. But apparently they loved it as well because they're going to in droves as well.
But that is, when you really sit back and think about it, that is the hallmark of the very best Pixar films. Because I've always said this, Pixar does not make kid films. What they do is they make great films that just happen to be kid friendly. When you look at films like, and we've talked about this before, you and I, when you look at films like The Incredibles, or you look at films like Up, and you look at those types of movies, when you really sit back and look at the structure of the film and the story points and the characters, these are very adult themed, not as in R-rated, but these are very heavily leaned towards issues that adults face, especially The Incredibles. I mean, The Incredibles is about a middle-aged man, yearning for the glory of his youth and now the realities of having young families and all that. These are not kid issues. These are adult issues. And when you watch a film like Inside Out, it may not be adult issues per se, but they're dealing with themes and ideas that are complex and like higher level thinking aimed at adults, yet very kid friendly at the same time. And that is something that even the best like DreamWorks animated films or other animated studios have yet to be able to nail on a consistent basis. There's an argument for How to Train Your Dragon, but have failed to hit on that consistent basis. And maybe it's just that faith and belief that the average filmgoer has in that brand name of Pixar, that even though we didn't think the trailers were all that big, I pegged it 60 to 65. You got closer than I did, 65 to 70. It still overperforms, even though there's another $100 million film in the box office that weekend. Absolutely incredible. Also, as a side note, very happy that Dope did as well as it did. I didn't know that Dope would crack 5. Because it's a very small market type of film, but it did better than I thought it would. It's 6 point something.
Yeah,
so very, very happy.
I saw it this weekend. I loved it.
Very good.
I was actually surprised that it made it to so many screens. It's over 2,000 screens. I was like, I thought they were going to start off at under 1,000,
500 screens or something like that.
Exactly, but I'm glad it's a success.
All right, what's next?
A trailer for the Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg comedy Daddy's Home has been released. In the movie, Ferrell plays a mild-mannered stepfather that must compete for his stepchildren's affection with their biological father, played by Wahlberg. The film is being directed by Horror Boss's 2 directors, Sean Anders, and also stars Linda Cardellini and Paul Scheer. Daddy's Home comes to AMC theaters on December 25th, 2015. Dennis, what'd you think of the trailer for Daddy's Home?
The funny thing is, even though the trailer itself was nothing we haven't seen before, I still want to see this movie. It's like, I don't know, something about like Will Ferrell movies. It's like, maybe it's like pizza or whatever. Like, even when it's not that great, you still crave it. Also, reteaming with Wahlberg, I really like them. They're dynamic in the other guys,
right?
And them reteaming together for this. I'm one of the few people who thought the first Horror Bosses was only okay and liked the second one more. And so for me,
you are a rare creature.
Yes, I am rare. And so for me, that indicates something. And I also like this resurgence of Linda Cardellini's kind of career. I mean, I loved her in Freaks and Geeks, and she was on ER for a while, but I didn't really watch that show. But now she's been in Avengers Age of Ultron. She's on this Netflix show called Bloodline that's really good, and now she's in this movie. So I'm glad that she's having like kind of a second career in film.
Yeah, man, you nailed it. This is nothing we haven't seen before. I mean, I'm watching and even that one scene in the bedroom, all it felt like to me was a rehash of that bridesmaid scene. Remember when the 2 girls are trying to up each other at giving the speech, the wedding shower speech, or not, I can't remember if it was a wedding shower. Or, yeah, it was a wedding shower, and they're each giving, and then they try to up one another, and it just felt like that scene just felt like a rehash of that. And yet I laughed. I couldn't help it. This is so formulaic, so paint by the numbers, and yet I found myself laughing quite a bit. That one line in the trailer was great. Well, the important thing is nobody got hurt. I got hurt. I mean, that was really good. And that's when you get into a situation like that where there's nothing new there to be told in a story, and it feels really formulaic, then it's going to be about exactly what you pointed out. Well, then at least does the dynamic in these characters work? Are they able to make that chemistry between them work in such a way to make this really hilarious? I've never seen a better example of that than in that other Will Ferrell film, Step Brothers. And it feels like, while not on the level of the Step Brothers, because I think Step Brothers is just epic, and as far as how funny it is, it feels like there is potential for a lot of laughs, and they're actually not doing a bad job of it. So, yeah, formulaic as hell, but man, count me in. I'm willing to watch it. All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show for Buy or Sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Ashley's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then Dennis and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
In an interview with MTV, Jesse Eisenberg, who was playing the infamous Superman villain Lex Luthor in the upcoming Batman vs. Superman film, said the following about his character. The expectations that I have are never the same expectations that an audience has. I don't have expectations for myself to adhere to a comic book character, but a lot of people are interested in how I would coincide with the comic book character. But it couldn't be farther from my mind because I'm just playing a role. It's a really great character that's written by this guy, Chris Terrio. He's a phenomenal writer. He loves my character in the same way I love my character. He put a lot of work into it. It's a great character. There's an emotional core to the character. It's not this silly, villainous character. This is a real depiction of a person who thinks these things. So the challenge is to make it seem real. Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice hits AMC theaters on March 25th, 2016. John Barsell, Eisenberg's comments.
Buy. Huge buy. I love where his head is at in these comments. Because when you're talking about, first of all, let's look at several different levels of this thing. He's saying, look, I'm not worried about bringing the comic book character to life. I'm worried about a character. Exactly the right thing to say. That's exactly the right mindset you need to have. Let the writers write the character, and then your job as a performer, bring that character to life. Be the best character that will enhance this film. Don't be the best character that is most faithful to the comic book, because the two are not always the same thing. And as an actor in this medium of film, that's the thing you've got to be focused on, and that's the thing that's got to work. So the fact that he's kind of tuning in on that and zeroing in on that as being his prime focus and the thing that he really needs to worry about, that tells me this dude's got his head in the right place. So for me, yeah, it's a huge buy.
Well, if I took a drink for every time he mentioned the word character in his little thing, I would be totally drunk. But it's a big buy for me too, because the approach he's taking is the right approach. It's like, hey, we have this character of this version of this iconic character, and he has to do the best job to bring that character to life versus what everyone else expects from him. He can't think of like Gene Hackman's performance or Kevin Spacey or even someone like a Michael Rosenbaum from Smallville in terms of how they portrayed it, or the comic book version, because there's multiple comic book versions. If you read it, like Lex Luthor's different in different,
so many different variations
so
of him.
He doesn't want to get clouded with all these different thoughts. Maybe he'll start doing an impression of some other person, like a Gene Hackman or Kevin Spacey or whatever, or he tries to do too much of a comic book version. So he has to approach it like this is brand new. This character's never been seen before, and I think that will lead to a really good performance.
And the thing that really stood out to me the most here, I've always thought that the most terrifying and best villains on screens are not the mustache twirlers. I'm evil, right? And one of the things he said in his character, he said, look, this is the real depiction of a person who thinks these things. The most dangerous characters in film and in real life are the ones who truly believe that they are doing the right thing. Those are the ones that can be the most terrifying, because then they're also driven by conviction. They're not just driven by their own greed, right? They're also driven by conviction. And it reminds me, the way he's describing Lex Luthor here reminds me a lot of the way Chiwetel Ejiofor played the, what's the name of the character? But the villain in Serenity, the operative, they called him. Because he was driven by principle, that he thought this was the right thing to do. And that's what makes them relentless and vicious and the most dangerous. And so you put all this into one, and these are comments that I really personally
dig. And if they
dig.
make the Lex Luthor character semi-relatable, or you kind of side with him in certain aspects, it'll make it even better.
Absolutely. All right, what's next?
Ain't It Cool News is reporting that trusted sources have claimed that Lucasfilm is planning a fifth Indiana Jones to come out towards the end of 2018. Back in May, Lucasfilm head Kathleen Kennedy had said that one day an Indiana Jones movie would be made, but they didn't know when. It also isn't known if Harrison Ford would be reprising his role as the most famous archaeologist, or if a new actor would come on board to tackle the iconic role. Dennis Barisell that a fifth Indiana Jones is coming soon.
I'm gonna buy it. I think it will. I mean, 2018 is far enough away where they don't have to be totally ready right now, but if they get the things in motion and they're determined to do it, I think 2018 is a feasible time. The question is who's going to take on that role. Harrison Ford, was he like 72 now or something like that?
72, 73.
So if they start shooting, let's say next year or the year after, that's he's going to be pretty old.
And then you got to wonder how many plane crashes he's going to be in between now and next year.
Yeah, and so I think they'll go with a different actor to take on the role. I know Bradley Cooper for the longest time was the front runner. They were saying, but now Chris Pratt, with the success of Guardians and Jurassic World, he may have skipped over Bradley Cooper and become the front runner. I always wanted to see Nathan Fillion in that role, but he's, one, not big enough of a name, and number two, he's gotten older now, and they want to start the franchise with someone a bit younger so they can do 2, 3, 4 movies.
Yeah, he's already older than Harrison Ford was when he started in the role. I'm going to sell this, actually. I don't think this is going to happen anytime soon. Like, will it happen eventually? Yes. But happen anytime soon? No, because you go back to those Kathleen Kennedy comments, and she's basically what she said, really, when you boil it down, it's, yeah, we have no plans. I mean, we're talking about it, but there are no plans. There's no script. There's no anything. And if you want to go one step beyond that, like her husband, Kathleen Kennedy's husband, produced all the original things. And he recently said, look, we haven't even started talking about this yet. So when she says we're talking about it, I don't think that means in the boardrooms of Lucasfilm. I think she's having some casual conversations because her husband, who produced all the original, he's like, look, we haven't even started talking about it yet. I think a 2018 date, especially when you're considering all the stuff that Lucasfilm is doing right now, just getting its Star Wars. They haven't even launched their first Star Wars movie yet. So I think it's pretty unbelievable to think that they can have something ready in 2018. And I also don't think I think a lot of people said Bradley Cooper was the front runner, but considering they haven't even started talking about even making these movies yet, I don't think there was ever really a real front runner for them to talk about yet. And Chris Pratt also said recently, he said, the only conversation I've had with anybody about Indiana Jones was my brother gave me a call the other day to say, hey, you have my permission to do it if they ask you. He said that's the only conversation I've had with anybody about Indiana Jones.
That means it's confirmed.
It's absolutely confirmed.
Chris Pratt, headline, Chris Pratt talks about being Indiana Jones.
Therefore, it's happening. Ashley, let me ask you, if they were going to make a new Indiana Jones, who would you want to see?
You know, this is so easy for me because Bradley Cooper just makes me drool. So like no matter what, the movie would be amazing just because Bradley Cooper would be Indiana Jones.
He would be a good fit. All right, what's next?
Deadline is reporting that Julia Stiles is set to return for the 5th Bourne movie. Stiles appeared in the first 3 Bourne movies as Nikki Parsons, a Treadstone operative whose role expanded with each subsequent film. It was reported last fall that both director Paul Greengrass and star Matt Damon were also coming back for the franchise for a 2016 release. Variety is also saying that Viggo Mortensen has been offered the role as the villain for the film. The film is set for release on July 29, 2016. John Byrne, Julia Stiles returning to the Bourne franchise, and Viggo Mortensen playing the villain.
Okay. Well, let me just focus on the Julia Stiles thing for a second. I'm going to buy this for a couple of different reasons. The most obvious reason is because it fits. I mean, she has been a consistent presence through these films, and I think her absence would be noticeable. I think if she suddenly wasn't there, that would be noticeable. She provides a really nice balance to the Bourne character. She's always, because her character also functions as a really good device. When the Bourne character, how do we figure out how Jason finds this out? We've got a great device there. How do we figure out how Jason calms down after this? We've got a great device there. The character is a multi-purpose device that can be used in a lot of different ways. They've exploited the character well in past films, and I think she could be exploited well again moving forward. The second reason I buy it is because while we don't see a lot of Julia Stiles anymore, just a couple of years ago, she was a season regular on Dexter, and I thought she was actually really quite good. I didn't love the character, but I thought she played it really well. So for those reasons, I'm all for it. With Viggo Mortensen coming in, hey, look, if they want to work with him and they think they can work with him without any drama, the dude is world-class performer. And I can't remember seeing him as a villain before. I think he would be badass as a villain. So I don't know if it'll actually happen, but I would totally buy it if it was.
I'm going to buy it as well. Let's start with Viggo Mortensen. You haven't seen him as like a villain before, but he played a pretty intimidating character in Eastern Promises.
Oh, he was great in that. And A History of Violence, too.
Yeah, so I think he could do it very well. As far as Julia Stiles, yeah, I buy it as well. Seeing her character, and they made her role bigger in each film. And then in the third one, she kind of hinted at some sort of like past romantic history with the Jason Bourne character. So perhaps they're going to play that up more in the 5th film. Is this the 4th or the 5th? I guess it's the 5th because we had Bourne.
Technically, it's the 5th, I guess.
Yeah, so I'd like to see her back, and I'd like to see her have a bigger role as well.
All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. So, Ashley, what's in the mailbag?
Joe Woking writes, do you think we will see a sequel to 2011's Three Musketeers? I think we may, but at the same time, I don't know if it made enough money at the box office to be worth a sequel.
Actually, Des, if you can look up for me the actual amount of money, or how much did it make?
It made only domestically a little over $20 million, but internationally it made another 111, so about 130 worldwide.
Okay, so it roughly made 129 million more than it deserved. Listen, this is honestly one of the worst motion pictures I've ever seen. And I love Three Musketeers on the big screen. I mean, I even really like that one Leonardo DiCaprio, John Malkovich, Gerard Depardieu, A Man in the Iron Mask.
Yes, with Leonardo DiCaprio.
With Leo, right. Now, if you watched the old Disney Three Musketeers with Kiefer Sutherland, Charlie Sheen, Chris Pratt, I think, is in that as well. I think he plays D'Artagnan. I can't remember who he plays. But anyway, if you watch that and then watch the Leonardo DiCaprio Man in the Iron Mask, it feels like a true sequel to the original. I love the Three Musketeers. And then that movie was coming out. They had Luke Evans, who I'd become a big fan of. They had Christoph Waltz. I think he was playing Cardinal Vishnu in that, and I love Christoph Waltz. You had a very solid cast, all this kind of stuff. And honestly, when you talk to me about the worst big Hollywood films of all time, I have three I always mention: The Highlander Part 2, Battlefield Earth, and Catwoman. But if you were to ask me to expand that to 5, that 2011 Three Musketeers might be up there. It had everything going for it, and it was one of the most painful experiences I ever had in a movie theater. It's that bad. So, will it ever be made? I don't think so, too, because if you listen to, who was the girl who played the lead in that?
Mila Jovovich.
Yeah, Jovovich. Her husband actually directed the film, and I remember when it was starting to get slammed, she was like very public about slamming people who were slamming the movie. I think it was a very hurtful experience for both her and her husband. So I just don't think will we see another another incarnation of the Three Musketeers? Absolutely we will someday. Maybe not in the too distant future, but this movie will not get a sequel. Oh God, I hope not at any rate. Anyway, Dennis, what do you think about it?
I didn't see the movie because I heard people like yourself saying how terrible it was. I think it cost $75 million to make, so 130 is not exactly telling the studios, hey, all these people want to see this movie. Plus, from the bad reviews, they're going to expect that if they made a sequel, that no one's going to. And Three Musketeers is like Robin Hood, where they're always gonna, like Peter Pan, Robin Hood, Three Musketeers. They're always gonna make every 5, 6, 7, 8 years they're gonna make a new movie of it. So there will be another one, just not that has anything to do with this one.
All right, what's next?
Xander Tanigawa writes, hi AMC, love the show, you guys rock. My question is, did you guys and girls hear that Comic-Con is planning to move to Anaheim instead of San Diego? I've heard this from watching Fox 11 Morning News months ago and was wondering if this has something to do with Marvel, Paramount, and Sony skipping it, and what's your reaction to the convention moving? I like that it's closer to Burbank, which is where I live. Thanks and keep up the good work.
Well, whether it is moving or not is still a question that's up for me. I have not heard anything definitive. I know San Diego and Comic-Con recently signed a new deal, but it was a 3 or 4 year deal or a 5 year deal. I can't remember how long their deal was to keep Comic-Con in San Diego. But if it does move, I can pretty much assure you it has nothing to do with Sony or Paramount or Marvel or anything to do with that. It really comes down to the infrastructure. I have been saying for years that Comic-Con needs to get out of San Diego. I love San Diego. My wife and I go there every once in a while just to hang out for the weekend in San Diego. It is a beautiful town and has been an awesome host for Comic-Con. The problem is success. More and more people end up going to Comic-Con every year, and that is just not a city whose infrastructure is designed to support it. Do you know, like, if you're not on the phones within 30 seconds of when the hotel rooms become available, you're not getting a hotel, at least not within 5 or 10 miles of the convention. It is just not built for it. You ever try to get around in San Diego when that convention is going on? It's impossible. That town grounds to a halt. It's impossible to find lodging. I'm staying at a place at Comic-Con this year that is a 20-minute drive from the convention center, okay? And I booked months in advance. It is just not built for it. So I've been saying for a long time that the place it needs to go, I believe, is Las Vegas. not just because I love Las Vegas, but because Las Vegas is literally a town that can have, an extra million people are coming into town this weekend. They don't even blink. CES, which is the largest convention of its kind in the world, goes to Vegas every year. That town doesn't even hiccup. It's got thousands upon thousands upon thousands of taxi cabs, thousands upon thousands, tens of thousands and tens of thousands of hotel rooms, hundreds of thousands of hotel rooms. It's got tons of convention space. It is built to properly handle convention of that size. Anaheim also wouldn't be a bad idea. But the problem is you also got Disneyland there. So adding another 200,000 people on top of that one day, it might get a little congested as well. Plus, I don't think the Anaheim Convention Center is as good as the San Diego one to start with. So now we're getting into just con news. But I believe at some point it's going to have to move out of San Diego. But I have not heard anything definitive on if it is or is not. Dennis, what have you heard?
Well, I want to address what he's talking about. Does Marvel and Paramount and Sony leaving have anything to do with it? No, it doesn't
Absolutely
have anything.
not.
Nothing. They've been planning on trying to move because it is too big and they can't accommodate all the people that want to go. My first choice would be for it to stay in San Diego. However, that they actually expand the hotels, expand the convention space, which I'm still mad about because they've been talking about this for years. They've known for years that they need to, but San Diego has done nothing.
Nothing.
Every year we go back there. Last year, we looked over, we had a hotel that was like pretty high up. We look over the city. Nothing's being built.
Yeah.
Nothing. You're sitting there going, okay, is this your expansion plan? So to me, that indicates they don't care. They don't care about the millions of dollars that are being spent during that few days in San Diego. If they don't care, then, let's move it somewhere else. Yeah, Anaheim might be a good spot. Las Vegas, the only concern with Las Vegas, it can definitely accommodate it. The convention space is huge. Plenty of hotel space. My worry is the opposite of with San Diego. Where San Diego, the cool thing about it is when Comic-Con's there, it's all about Comic-Con, right?
It's true, yes.
You walk around, everything's about Comic-Con. You go to Las Vegas, it's going to get kind of swallowed into it. And yes, Comic-Con will be a presence, but I don't think you're going to get that feeling, that feeling of just walking down the street and everyone there is there for Comic-Con. You're going to get a bunch of tourists. You're going to be there. There's always conventions going on. There's probably going to be 2 or 3 other conventions going on at the same time. Selfishly, my next choice would be LA. Just because.
Just bring it to LA, baby.
Well, not only that.
So we can just stay home.
Yeah, exactly. We know where we're staying, right? And it's not a far drive. So that would be my choice for a second.
All right, what's next?
Cinema Addict writes, "Hey team, I've seen you guys been buzzing about Inside Out lately, so I was curious as to what you thought about the animated short Lava that played in front of the film. Have you guys all seen it? I thought it was beautiful. Thoughts?"
I have a dream. I hope it comes true. That's been in my head now for weeks, ever since I saw that short film. Yeah, Lava. I mean, Pixar has this great tradition of making awesome short films to play before their new animated features, and just some of them are just all time. You'll remember for the rest of your life. Blah blah blah. Lava is not one of those for me. Don't get me wrong. I thought it was cute. I thought it was very beautiful to look at, but there's nothing special about it to me. I mean, it was cute, and it was. I mean, technically, it was very beautifully done, but it doesn't carry any sort of the weight that a lot of the other offerings we see in these Disney or Pixar shorts that play before their films. Like, what was the last one? Feast?
Yeah, Feast.
But that one, I will always remember that. That was like beautiful and special and emotional and blah, blah. And yeah, there was a giggle when he sings, "Send me someone to lava." I giggled, but that was the only time. It was just... So I liked it. It's fine. I know some people really hated it, but I didn't hate it. It's just that, yeah, it was there, and I'd rather go see Inside Out again and not have it play. I don't know, Des, what do you think of Lava?
I mean, I liked it. I enjoyed it. The thing I thought the whole time the song's playing is I thought of that ukulele version of Over the Rainbow.
Oh, good call.
So,
yeah.
I enjoyed it. It was fine. It's definitely not my favorite of the short films that they played before. I even liked the one they played before Frozen. Wasn't that was it the Steamboat Willie one? They did, I forgot. I think it was a black and white Mickey Mouse throwback one, and I really enjoyed that one. This one was all right. I tweeted out after I saw it, I was like, the female volcano looked more Asian than Emma Stone did in Aloha. So that had it going for it. So, yeah, I liked it. I mean, I'd probably watch it again, but it's definitely not a must see.
You guys have no souls, okay?
Okay.
Oh, did you like it?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I thought I was going to cry. I can't really like say much without giving much away.
We have no hearts.
You guys have no hearts. You guys will cry. If you have a soul and you watch this, you will cry.
No soul.
No soul.
Well, there was a without giving too much away when his eyes
Look
are just
at
above the
that.
water.
Look at that.
Oh, I mean, he looks so happy.
There's part of it where if they had faded to black, it would have been so dark.
Oh, yeah, they
my
like
gosh.
stopped at the
Yeah.
certain parts at the end.
I was like, oh my God, are they going to do it? But no.
All right, folks. Well, that'll do it for us for this installment of AMC Movie Talk. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, don't forget, lots of great films playing at AMC Theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for all of your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. If you want an audio-only version of this episode, look in the description of this video and you'll find a link to our podcast feed. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which, by the way, by the time you see this video, we may have already hit 300,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. I remember when we hit 100,000 and we made a big deal about it, blah, blah, blah. Now we're 3 times bigger than that. I mean, absolutely amazing. So thank you. We'll probably make a little bit bigger a deal of it tomorrow. So for now, I want to thank the people sitting at the table with me, sitting right over here, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero, on Instagram, dennis.tzng, and you also can find me on YouTube, ThinkHero Pro.
And of course, our lovely host today, the lava-loving Miss Ashley Mova. Ashley, where can people find you?
On Twitter and on Instagram at Ashley Mova. Happy Monday, guys.
And of course, you can find me on all the various social media channels, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Just follow me at John Campia. That'll do it for us, guys. We're on our way to go see Ted 2 tonight, so we'll let you know in a couple of days how that is. So my name's John Campia for AMC Movie News, and until next time, bye-bye.